Welcome to the channel, folks. My name's Shane. In today's video, I'm sharing my hands-on review of the Meike 8mm f2.8 super wide angle lens for micro four thirds. This 8mm lens gives us the full frame equivalent field of view as a 16mm lens on a full frame camera, so it's really wide. I'll showcase how this lens works in various shooting situations, including handheld and with a gimbal if you're a video shooter. I shot all the video samples in this review video with the Panasonic GH6 and GH5S. The field of view will be slightly wider than 7mm on the GH5S due to that multi-aspect ratio sensor, and on the GH6 it'll be the standard field of view for micro four thirds. All the photo samples were shot using the GH5 Mark II. I really wanted to mix it up, as I know a lot of people who watch this channel have various micro four thirds cameras. The build quality of the Meike 8mm f2.8 lens is solid. We get an all-metal construction. The lens houses 17 elements in 12 groups. The focus and aperture ring both feel excellent, and the overall build quality is exceptionally good for $399 at the time of filming. As you can see from the front of the lens, the glass protrudes out, which is quite common for some of these super wide angle lenses. Included is a built-in lens hood and a lens cap cover, and it fits in beautifully. I've had no complaints regarding the build quality whatsoever. While the front element does stick out, the great news is it has a 77mm filter thread size, so if you plan on using an ND, you can absolutely do it with this lens. The only thing to note is that unlike a lot of Panasonic lenses, the Meike comes in at a whopping 480 grams. In contrast, the Panasonic 9mm f1.7 is only 130 grams in weight, and it has autofocus. The Panasonic, at least here, is far more expensive, and this might help you decide which is best for your shooting scenario. If you're not a fan of a plastic lens, then the Meike will be right up your alley. This metal housing feels great in the hand. The Meike 8mm f2.8 prime lens is 100% manual. This means you'll be setting the aperture and focus manually. Odds are if you're a Panasonic shooter, you've adopted manual focus to some extent. The good news is, even though this lens is fairly fast at f2.8, it's a lot easier to get more in focus than if it was a 1.7, for example. Stopping down to f4 and beyond pretty much ensures that everything will be in focus. This lens goes all the way down from f2.8 to f22. If you haven't used a super wide angle lens before, they're a lot of fun. The strength, in my experience, is for the super wide follow shots on gimbals or to capture stunning nature or city shots. My favorite result with the Meike 8mm f2.8 lens was paired with my Panasonic GH5S and DJI Ronin S gimbal. The camera and lens combination is light enough that I could have used it on a smaller gimbal like the Scorp Mini instead, and the results would have been just as nice. While the Meike isn't the lightest super wide angle lens on the market, it's a perfect match for a camera like the GH5S, where you're not at the mercy of the sensor moving around, creating that warpy effect. While I wish this lens had some sort of autofocus, if you stop down around f5.6, you won't really need it. Photographers will love this lens for nature and urban photography. The super wide angle lens makes it easy to capture a stunning 109-degree field of view, so this is super wide. Getting low to the ground can give you some really interesting perspectives and photographs. If you're a real estate photographer or if you do a lot of architectural work, this lens makes a whole lot of sense and will do a really great job. Let's talk about sun stars and flaring. If you want to get that sun star effect, it's really easy. Stop down to f16 or f22, and I had no problems achieving this effect whatsoever. I'm sure there's lenses that reproduce the sun star effect much nicer than this, but to my eye, it looked really nice. The flaring on this lens is a mixed bag depending on your shooting situation, so I'll show you some examples on screen and you can judge whether or not you like the look of that. Let's talk about bokeh, background blur, and low light. f2.8 on micro four thirds is fast enough to obtain a shallow depth of field. Shooting at f2.8 lets in enough light so this lens can be used in golden hour or sundown, for example. Paired with the GH5S, you can get some really great low light results if you're shooting video. When it comes to sharpness, the Meike 8mm is sharp, but not over sharp. Paired with either the GH5S or the GH6, I was pleased with the results. While this is sharp enough for photography, it doesn't have that overly sharpened look that some lenses can produce, so I'm pleased with the results. While f2.8 is fine, you'll notice a huge increase in sharpness at f4 and beyond. If you plan on vlogging with a lightweight gimbal, then this lens will give you excellent results, but it could get quite heavy on your shoulder depending on your rig. Now, if you plan on vlogging handheld with the Meike 8mm, I tested this on the GH6, which has the best IBIS I've ever seen on any camera system. Looking at the results, as you can see, it's Warp City in the corners, so If you plan on doing handheld work, I would give this one a miss. It's got something to do with the super wide field of view on a camera with an IBIS system that's trying to correct all the shakes, but in turn, you get lots of extra shake. Kind of strange, but it only happens with super wide angle lenses. Let's wrap this video up. I'm going to talk about the pros and cons, and a massive thank you to Mikey for sending this out for the review. I really appreciate it. I think the pros far outweigh the cons, but let's cover everything you need to know if you're thinking about buying this lens. This lens is great value, it has a super wide field of view, and it's fast enough to work in almost any lighting condition. The build quality is excellent and the end result is solid. The only downsides are that being a manual lens, we don't get any autofocus capabilities, but for some, this won't be essential. The only other drawback of this lens is its weight, coming in at 480 grams. Let's take a look at the Panasonic Leica 9mm for example. It's lighter and faster at the expense of a tighter field of view. It also has autofocus, but it's more expensive, so you have to weigh all of those factors up. Shooting handheld with this lens, even paired with a camera with a great IBIS system, left a lot to be desired, but on a gimbal, I think that's where it really shines. Photographers will love this lens for any scenario where a super wide field of view is required, while video shooters will most likely enjoy this on a gimbal or tripod. Thanks for watching, folks. My name's Shane. If this video has been helpful, please leave a thumbs up. A massive thanks to Mikey for sending this out for the review. Links to this lens will be in the description below. See you soon. See ya.